Hello, word nerds! Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. Yep, we're still reading the dictionary. First word for today is alimentary. alimentary. This is probably very related to the last word in the previous episode, which was aliment. aliment. All right, this is an adjective from 1615. 1. Of or relating to nourishment or nutrition. 2. Furnishing sustenance or maintenance. I have to say that I think many people do not eat very nutritiously. And if you think you are one of those people, and I definitely was, and maybe I still am on occasion, look at what you're eating and see if you can make even some minor adjustments to get a little healthier, because it will benefit you in the long run. Next, we have alimentary canal. 2 words. This is a noun from 1764. The tubular passage that extends from mouth to anus and functions in digestion and absorption of food and elimination of residual waste. Tubular, man. That's so rad. That was definitely a word from my childhood. So, based on what it's saying, I think it means that essentially the entire digestive tract is the alimentary canal, because it says it goes from mouth to anus, so that is pretty much everything. Alimentation is our next word. This is a noun from circa 1656, the act or process of affording nutriment or nourishment, as in intravenous alimentation. Next we have alimony. I think the first time I came across this word was when I was maybe 8-10 years old. No, my parents didn't get divorced. It was from a Weird Al song. It was a parody of Money, 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 and he did alimony, Money. And it's a pretty funny song. This is a noun from 1656. 1. An allowance made to one spouse by the other for support, pending or after legal separation or divorce. 2. The means of living. Synonym is maintenance. The etymology says this is from the Latin alimonia, which means sustenance, and that is from the verb allere, which we read before, and if I can find it quickly, that would be great, because I could remind you and me what that means. Allere means to nourish. So, the word alimony basically is sustenance or nourishment from one person to another, often the male in the relationship or the divorce to the female, although clearly that's not always going to be the case. I've always found the etymology of words very interesting, as I've mentioned many, many times before in this podcast, and this is one of those that is very clear. Once you see where it comes from, it's very obvious what it means and where the word came from. So, yeah, thanks, dictionary, for telling me that. Next, we have A-line, capital A hyphen L-I-N-E. This is an adjective from 1964, having a flared bottom and a close-fitting top, used of a garment, as in an A-line skirt. Next, we have aliphatic, A-L-I-P-H-A-T-I-C. This is an adjective from 1889 of relating to or being an organic compound as an alkane, having an open chain structure. It says compared to the words alicyclic and aromatic too. The etymology says this is from the Greek alephar, which means oil. That is from alephane. I'm just reading these as an American who doesn't know other languages would read them, which means to smear, also perhaps akin to the Greek lipos or lipos, which means fat, and obviously we get liposuction from that. And there's more at the word leave, L-E-A-V-E. Next, we have aliquot, A-L-I-Q-U-O-T. This is an adjective from 1571. Contained an exact number of times in something else, used of a divisor or part, as in 5 is an aliquot part of 15, because you can divide 15 by 5 evenly into 3 parts. Did I say that right? Oh well. Also, as in an aliquot portion of a solution. 2, we just have the synonym fractional, as in an aliquot part of invested capital. Aliquot is also a noun. The etymology says this is from the Latin aliquot, spelled the same way, which means some or several. That is from combining alius, which means other, plus quot, Q-U-O-T, which means how many. And I did take a couple of years of Latin, so I should probably have remembered that, but I don't. So, how many and other. And there's more at the word else and quote. I'm very curious to know what contexts aliquot actually gets used. I've never heard it before. Is it that you feel very fancy and you actually know this word and you're into mathematics and you want to use it, so you use it? Or are there some specific situations where it actually makes sense to use aliquot, like 5 is an aliquot part of 15? Don't know. Next we have a list, capital A-L-I-S-T. This is a noun from 1980. A list or group of individuals of the highest level of society, excellence or eminence. I am not on that list. Next we have illiteracy. This is a noun from 1984, the quality or state of being able to read but uninterested in doing so. So this is alliteracy. I had said it wrong before. It is literally pronounced alliteracy, not illiteracy, which I believe starts with an I. And we'll get to that later. Alliterate is an adjective or a noun. Next we have alive, A-L-I-V-E, what all of us are who are listening to this podcast right now. If you were not alive, you would not be hearing it, I suspect. This is an adjective from before the 12th century. 1, having life, not dead or inanimate. 2, still in existence, force or operation. Active is a synonym, as in kept, hope, alive. 2b, still active in competition with a chance of victory, as in must win to stay alive in the playoffs. 3, knowing or realizing the existence of. Sensitive is a synonym, as in alive to the danger. 4, marked by alertness, energy, or briskness, as in his face came alive at the mention of food. Ooh, that is definitely me. 5, marked by much life, animation, or activity. Swarming is a synonym, as in streets alive with traffic. 6, used as an intensive following the noun, as in the proudest boy alive. Synonym for the whole word is aware, A-W-A-R-E, and aliveness is a noun. Next we have aliyah, A-L-I-Y-A-H. It could also be spelled without the H at the end. This is a noun from circa 1934, the immigration of Jews to Israel. The etymology says this is modern Hebrew, aliyah. It has some accents over some of the letters, and is from the Hebrew, which means ascent, A-S-C-E-N-T. So I guess what this is saying is the act of aliyah is when Jews who were spread out probably all over the world decided to go back to Israel. That's a very basic definition from what I'm gathering from this very basic definition. Next we have alizarin. I think that's how it's pronounced based on the pronunciation guide. A-L-I-Z-A-R-I-N. And man, reading the dictionary just proves to me how crappy of a vocabulary I have, because there are so many words that I have never seen. So this is alizarin. This is a noun circa 1835. 1, an orange or red crystalline compound, C14H8O4, formerly prepared from madder and now made synthetically and used especially to dye turkey reds and in making red pigments. By the way, madder in this situation is spelled M-A-D-D-E-R, although I would have expected it to be spelled with T's instead of D's. But now I know why this is a word I haven't seen before, because it is very scientific, and I did not go super far in the science classes and such, so I don't know alizarin. But the second definition is any of various acid, mordant, or solvent dyes derived like alizarin proper with anthraquinone. Next we have ALK, all lowercase. This is an abbreviation for alkaline. Next is alkahest, all one word, ALKAHEST. This is a noun from 1641, the universal solvent believed by alchemists to exist. Alkahestic is an adjective. So I think we brought up alchemists and alchemy before. That's the idea of turning basically something invaluable into something valuable, typically chemicals into gold, which I'm pretty sure nobody ever did and nobody ever will do, and we just assign value to stuff just because we can, or because it's more rare than other things, so it is valued more. So this is something that they thought existed. It's a solvent of some kind, called an alkahest that, people thought existed, but it doesn't. Next, we have alkali, A-L-K-A-L-I. This is a noun from the 14th century. 1. A soluble salt obtained from the ashes of plants and consisting largely of potassium and sodium carbonate. Broadly, a substance as a hydroxide or carbonate of an alkali metal having marked basic properties. Compare to the word base, the 7a definition. 2, we have the synonym alkali metal. 3, a soluble salt or a mixture of soluble salts present in some soils of and regions in quantity detrimental to agriculture. I think I read all that right. It was a little weird, and soluble salts is hard to say. The etymology says this is from the Arabic al-Qili, Q-I-L-I, which means the ashes of the plant saltworth. Next, we have alkali metal, which was the number 2 definition in our previous word. This is a noun from 1860. I would love it if there was a type of heavy metal music called alkali metal. And if it doesn't exist, I think somebody should make it exist. Any of the monovalent, mostly basic metals of group 1 of the periodic table comprising lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium, and francium. And it says, see the periodic table. I think I mentioned this once a long time ago, but if you've never heard it, you need to listen to the song called The Elements by Tom Lehrer. Maybe I'll put a link into the episode details. And final word for this episode is alkaline, A-L-K-A-L-I-N-E. This is an adjective from 1675 of relating to containing or having the properties of an alkali or alkali metal. Basic is a synonym. And then it says, especially of a solution having a pH of more than 7. Alkalinity is a noun. And it looks like that will be the end of this episode. Thank you very much for listening to me jammer on about words and things. And I think if my math is correct, today is June 9th. I don't mean anything by that. I just want to make sure that everything is good in my planning. All right, that's it. Thank you. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the Dictionary. First word for today, which I think is June 10th, is alkaline battery. This is a noun from 1941, a long-lived dry cell with an alkaline electrolyte that decreases corrosion of the cell, called also alkaline cell. Maybe we'll see that in a bit. No, I don't think we will. Next, we have alkaline, earth, metal. 3 separate words. This is a noun from 1869. Any of the divalent, strongly basic metals of group 2 of the periodic table comprising beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium, and radium, called also alkaline earth, and it says see the periodic table. Next, we have alkaline phosphatase. This is a noun from 1948. Any of the phosphatases that are optimally active in alkaline medium and occur in especially high concentrations in bone, the liver, the kidneys, and the placenta. Phosphatases is a great word. Next, we have alkalinize. This is a transitive verb from 1800, to make alkaline. Alkalinization is a noun. That's another good word. Next, we have alkaloid. Alkaloid. This is a noun from circa 1831. Any of the numerous, usually colorless, complex, and bitter organic bases, as morphine or caffeine, containing nitrogen and usually oxygen, that occur especially in seed plants and are typically physiologically active. Alkaloidal is an adjective. Next, we have alkalosis. Alkalosis. This is a noun from 1911. An abnormal condition of increased alkalinity of the blood and tissues. Alkalotic is an adjective. Next, we have alkane. Alkane. This is a noun from 1899. Any of the numerous saturated hydrocarbons, specifically any of a series of open-chain hydrocarbons, CnH2n plus 2, as methane or methane and butane, called also paraffin. The N's next to the C and the H, which of course stand for carbon and hydrogen, basically just are there to say it's a number. It could be a 1, it could be a 10, it could be whatever. And that's in a subscript, so it's the little letter below it. And the H had 2n plus 2. So it's the same number as the number that's in carbon times 2 plus 2 is what I'm guessing it's saying. Next, we have alkanet. Alkanet. This is a noun from the 14th century. 1a, a European plant of the borage or borage family, Borage. Also, its root. The European plant scientific name is Alcana tinctoria. 1b, a red dyestuff prepared from the root. Dyestuff is all one word. Seems like an odd one. 2, a Eurasian plant of the borage family with delicate, usually blue flowers. 1a was European, and this one is Eurasian. The scientific name is Anchusa officinalis. The etymology says this is from the Arabic al-hana or al-hina, which means the henna, Henna. Next we have alkene or alkene, Alkene. This is a noun from 1899. Any of the numerous unsaturated hydrocarbons having one double bond, specifically any of a series of open-chain hydrocarbons, CnH2n, as ethylene. And there we have that whole N subscript thing again. Next we have alky. Yep, it's in the dictionary, Alkie or Alky. This is a noun from 1948. It is slang for the word alcoholic. Not a very nice word, I would have to say, but it's still a word that people use. Next we have alkoxide, Alkoxide. This is a noun from circa 1889, a basic salt derived from an alcohol by the replacement of the hydroxyl hydrogen with a metal. I definitely did not expect all these scientific words to come up when I decided to read the dictionary. If anybody wants to keep track, please go ahead and find out what percentage of all these words are, scientific in that way. Won't be a lot, I'm sure, but it's much more than I expected. But they're real words, and so they're in the dictionary, and we have to talk about them. Next, we have alkoxy, Alkoxy. This is an adjective from circa 1925 of relating to or containing a monovalent radical RO composed of an alkyl group united with oxygen, often used in combination. And by the way, the monovalent radical RO is capital R, capital O with some sort of hyphen after it. So I don't know what that means. Next we have alky again, Alky, but this time it is an abbreviation for alkalinity. Next and last word for this episode is alkyd, Alkyd. This is a noun from 1929. 1. Any of a numerous synthetic resins that are used especially for protective coatings and in paint. 2. A paint in which the vehicle is an alkyd resin. This word is a blend of alkyl, Alkyl, and acid, Acid. So we're getting the D from acid combined with alkyl. That will be the end of this episode. Thank you very much for listening to me. We've got one more set of words for this page, which means I've got one more set of words to read during this session. And when we are done with that, it will be the end of page 31. Thank you and goodbye. Welcome to another episode of the Dictionary. Hello, word nerds. Let's get into it. First word is alkyl. I think that's how it's pronounced. Alkyl. This is the first form of it. It's an adjective from 1879, having a monovalent organic group and especially one CnH2n plus 1 as methyl, derived from an alkane as methane or methane. Next is the second form of alkyl. This is a noun from 1889, a compound of one or more alkyl groups with a metal, as in mercury alkyls. Next we have alkylating agent. Two words, alkylating is Alkylating. This is a noun from 1900, a substance that causes replacement of hydrogen by an alkyl group, especially in a biologically important molecule, specifically one with mutagenic activity that inhibits cell division and growth and is used to treat some cancers. Next is alkylation. So it's the first 5 letters of the last couple words that we've been reading, plus ation at the end. This is a noun from 1895, the act or process of introducing one or more alkyl groups into a compound as to increase octane number in a motor fuel. Alkylate is a transitive verb. Next we have alkyne, Alkyne. This is a noun circa 1909. We are still in this scientific world. The definition is any of a series of open-chain hydrocarbons CnH2n-2 as acetylene having one triple bond. So I've seen H2n-2, I've seen H2n plus 2, and I think there was at least one other one which might have just been H2n. But clearly those subtle differences require different types of things to be created and then named. Next, we have the word all, A-L-L. Oh, that's funny. I just said that last night or the day before as a throwback to the laundry detergent commercials when I was a kid. A-L-L. I think that's how it goes. There are 4 forms of the word all. Even though it's a short word, it's kind of a big word because it is all... Oh, that was stupid. All right, this is an adjective from before the 12th century. We are on the first form, of course. 1a, the whole amount, quantity, or extent of, as in, needed all the courage they had. Also as in, sat up all night. 1b, as much as possible, as in, spoke in all seriousness. 2, every member or individual component of, as in, all men will go. Also as in, all 5 children were present. That's too many kids in my opinion. 3, the whole number or sum of, as in, all the angles of a triangle are equal to 2 right angles. 4, we have the synonym every, every, as in, all manner of hardship. 5, any whatever. Yeah, that's what it says. Any whatever. It's just any whatever is fine. As in, beyond all doubt. 6, nothing but. The synonym is only. 6a, and I don't know if this is to be added to the nothing but, or if it's kind of on its own. But it is an A under 6, so it's related in some way. Completely taken up with, given to, or absorbed by, as in, became all attention. 6b, having or seeming to have some physical feature in conspicuous excess or prominence, as in, all legs. I think what that is a reference to is a woman having very long legs and probably wearing something short so you see her legs. Maybe a weird example to throw in here. 6c, paying full attention with, as in all ears. I guess all legs could also be referring to like a runner who's just running very well and they seem like they're all legs. I don't know. 7, it says dial, D-I-A-L, which again I think means like a dialectic or like a specific dialect. It means used up, entirely consumed, used especially of food and drink. As in, I recently ate a whole pint of ice cream. That's my example, and it's true. Didn't even feel bad. 8, being more than one person or thing, as in, who all is coming. So we have a synonym for the entire word, which is whole, W-H-O-L-E. So whole is a synonym for the whole definition of all. We have a short phrase too, which is all the. That's the phrase. It has 2 similar definitions. First one is as much of ... as. And they do have an example, which I will get to. The second definition is similar. It says as much of a ... as. The example they give is all the home I ever had. Now, they don't have as at the end of it, but that's okay. Second form of all. This is an adverb from before the 12th century. 1a, we have these synonyms wholly, W-H-O-L-L-Y, and quite, Q-U-I-T-E, as in sat all alone. Often used as an intensive, as in all out of proportion. Also as in all over the yard. Also as in again, it wasn't all that funny. Except yes, it was. 1b, selected as the best, as at a sport, within an area or organization, used in combination, as in all league halfback. 2 is obsolete. We have these synonyms only and exclusively. 3 is archaic. We have the synonym just. 4, so much, as in all the better for it. 5, for each side. Synonym is apiece, A-P-I-E-C-E, as in the score is 2-all. That's usually used in tennis, although I'm sure it can be used in other situations. I'm positive it's used in other situations. We now have the third form of all. This is a pronoun from before the 12th century. 1a, the whole number, quantity, or amount. Synonym is totality, as in all that I have, or all of us, or all of the books. 1b, used in such phrases as for all I know, for all I care, and for all the good it does, to indicate a lack of knowledge, interest, or effectiveness. 2. We have the synonyms everybody and everything, as in gave equal attention to all, or that is all. And ooh, I have to do my impersonation of Porky Pig at the end of those cartoons, because he basically says, that is all, folks.
That's all, folks.
All right, I don't know how good that was, but in my head, it's not too bad. All right, we have a couple of phrases for this third form of all. We have all in all. That means on the whole. Generally is a synonym, as in all in all, things might have been worse. Second short phrase is and all. That means and everything else, especially of a kind suggested by a previous context, as in cards to fill out with, numbers and all. That is from Sally Quinn. All right, we have the fourth form of all. This is a noun from 1593. The whole of one's possessions, resources, or energy, as in gave his all for the cause. Next, we have ALL dash or ALLO dash. This is a prefix. 1. Other, different, atypical, as in allogamous or allotrophy. I think that's how they're pronounced. 2, specifically it's the ALLO version, isometric form or variety of a specified chemical compound, as in allopurinol. 3 is allo again, being one of a group whose members together constitute a structural unit, especially of a language, as in allophone, ALLOPHONE. Have no idea what that means. The etymology says this is Greek from allos, which means other, and there's more at the word else, ELSE. Next, we have a la breve, ALLA space BREVE. This is the last word for today, but we have two versions of it, two forms. First one is a noun from circa 1740, the sign marking a piece or passage to be played à la brève, also a passage so marked. And we have a little picture of what an à la brève symbol looks like on a musical staff. It looks like the cent symbol here in America. It's got a C with a vertical line through it. And now, I never see that symbol anymore, so I honestly have no idea if I'm remembering that correctly. But I think that's what the cent symbol looks like. The etymology says this is Italian, and it literally means according to the breve, B-R-E-V-E. And it does look like it can also be pronounced e la breve, or e la breve, if you want to say it, properly. E la breve. But I don't talk like that, and if I did, I would sound like an idiot, like I just did. Second form of a la breve is an adverb or adjective circa 1823 in duple or quadruple time with the beat represented by the half note. I did music for a long time in school. I don't think I ever got quite advanced enough to see or have to deal with a la breve, but I'm sure I saw it at some point. And with that, we will end this episode. Thank you very much for listening. If I did my math correctly, today is June 11th, which happens to be my grandparents' 70th anniversary. That's a big deal. 70 years is definitely nothing to scoff at. They're both in their 90s, and they're doing about as well as you can imagine for being in their 90s. My grandma had a stroke a few years ago. She's mentally very well with it, but she is in a wheelchair and can't really move her left side so well. She has a hard time speaking, which I think is very frustrating for her. But she's holding on, and she gets to see family every once in a while, especially during the holidays. The family comes from all over the country, and we get together, and she absolutely loves that. And my grandpa, her husband, he's a year older than her. He will turn 94 in August, and she's just a year behind him. And he's also doing pretty well. You know, he has some forgetful times, which I think is understandable if you've got 90 plus years of stuff crammed in your head. He does walk with a walker on occasion, but he'll also push her chair around, and he helps her in any way he possibly can. And so when you are listening to this that day, if you are listening to it the day it comes out, I plan on having dinner with them along with some other family members to celebrate the very momentous occasion of 70 years. It is quite an accomplishment and something to strive for, I think, if you are truly in love with the person you are with, and I am. All right, that will be the end of the episode. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, this is Spencer reading the dictionary. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. I'm going to record 4 episodes like I usually do, but I do have a meeting to get to, so I might be going through these a little bit quickly. By the way, if you're listening to this, please go ahead and share this on whatever social media you use, or email, or snail mail, or verbal communication with people, which we don't do anymore, because I want to get this out there. I want other people to learn about all these English words that we have, because I don't think they know that they exist. All right, first word for today is Allah, capital A-L-L-A-H. This is a noun from 1584. It has the synonym God, 1A. So that's the 1A definition for the word God, which I am really curious to see what that definition is, or all those definitions for God, since there's clearly at least 2, or 3, actually. And it says it's used in Islam. Next, we have all along, 2 separate words. This is an adverb from 1630. All the time, as in, knew the truth all along. Next we have all American, first form. It's the word all with a hyphen and then American, and of course American has a capital A. This is an adjective from 1888, 1A. Also, all America, selected as by a poll of journalists as one of the best in the U.S. in a particular category at a particular time, as in an All-America or All-American quarterback. All right, 1B, having only All-American participants, as in an All-American basketball team. 2, composed wholly of American elements. 3, representative or typical of the U.S. or its ideals, as in an all-American boy, or her all-American optimism. I've never heard of optimism as all-American. 4, of or relating to the American nations as a group. Now we have the second form of all-American. This is a noun from 1920. 1, again, it says also all-America. 1, as an athlete that is voted all-American. 2, one that has all-American qualities or characteristics, as in a clean-cut all-American. Next we have Allantoin, I think that's how it's pronounced, Allantoin. This is a noun from circa 1844, a crystalline oxidation product, C4H6N4O3, of uric acid used to promote healing and local wounds and infections. Next we have allantois. So instead of the N, it has been replaced with an S. This is a noun from 1646, a vascular fetal membrane of reptiles, birds, and mammals that is formed as a pouch from the hindgut, and that in placental mammals is intimately associated with the chorion in formation of the placenta. Allantoic is an adjective. The etymology says this is from the Greek allant, which is a prefix, or alas, which means sausage. Interesting. Next we have allargando, Allargando. This is an adjective or adverb from 1877. becoming gradually slower and more stately, used as a direction in music. This is Italian, it means widening, verbal of allargare, which means to widen. Next we have all around, all-around, or it could also be all round. This is an adjective from 1867. 1. Considered in or encompassing all aspects. Comprehensive is a synonym, as in the best all-around performance so far. 2. Competent in many fields, as in an all-around performer. 3. Having general utility or merit, as in an all-around tool. And all-around without the hyphen is also an adverb. Next we have allay, A-L-L-A-Y. This is a verb from the 14th century. Transitive definitions are 1. To subdue or reduce in intensity or severity. Alleviate is a synonym, as in expect a breeze to allay the heat. 2. To make quiet. Calm is a synonym, as in trying to allay their fears. Intransitive definition is obsolete. It says to diminish in strength. Subside is a synonym, and a synonym for the whole word, all definitions, is relieve. Next we have all but, A-L-L, next word B-U-T. This is an adverb from 1598. Very nearly, almost is a synonym, as in would be all but impossible. Next is all clear, 2 words. This is a noun from 1865, a signal that a danger has passed. Next we have all day. There is a hyphen in between those words. This is an adjective from circa 1870, lasting for, occupying, or appearing throughout an entire day, as in an all-day trip. I've done a lot of all-day trips in my day. My wife and I like to travel, as I've mentioned. And sometimes we'll just do day trips from wherever we're staying, and we'll be gone for many, many hours, and you see just amazing things like New Zealand and Iceland. Next we have, I think this might be pronounced allay again, or something very close to that. It is A-L-L-E-E, and the first E has an accent, looks French. This is a noun from 1759. A walkway lined with trees or tall shrubs. This is French, Middle French, allée, A-L-E-E, and there's more at the word alley. So now I know where we get the word alley from. Next and last word for this episode is allegation. God. I was reading the pronunciation guide as I was saying that, and it came out really weird. Allegation. I know this word. It's spelled all weird with the pronunciation, and then it's got dots and things to show the syllables. A-L-L-E-G-A-T-I-O-N. This is a noun from 15th century. 1. The act of alleging, which I don't think I've ever heard. It's a weird word. 2. A positive assertion, specifically a statement by a party to a legal action of what the party undertakes to prove. 3. An assertion unsupported and by implication regarded as unsupportable, as in vague allegations of misconduct. That will end this episode. Thank you for listening. Again, please go and share this podcast with everyone you know, or just the people who you think would be into it, aka the weird ones. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of The Dictionary. I am your host, Spencer. First word for today is allege, A-L-L-E-G-E. The last word in the previous episode was allegation, so these are related. This is a transitive verb. From the 14th century, 1 is archaic, to adduce or bring forward as a source or authority. 2, to assert without proof or before proving, as in, the newspaper alleges the mayor's guilt. 3, to bring forward as a reason or excuse. The etymology, I'm just going to read this. It is very long, the longest I think I've seen. This is Middle English, allegen, which means to submit in evidence or as justification. Adduce. This is from Anglo-French alléger, spelled two ways, probably in part a modification of Middle Latin allegare, which is from the Latin. It means to send as a representative, or adduce in support of a plea. And that is from legare, which means to depute. And part of that is from Anglo-French alléger, to lighten, free, exculpate. And that is from alleviare, Latin, which means to relieve. And there's more at the word legate and alleviate. Next we have alleged, alleged. This is an adjective from the 15th century. 1. Asserted to be true or to exist, as in an alleged miracle. 2. Questionably true or of a specified kind. Synonyms are supposed or supposed, and so-called, as in bought an alleged antique vase. 3. Accused but not proven or convicted, as in an alleged burglar. Allegedly is an adverb. Next we have Allegheny spurge. This is two words. Allegheny is capital A-L-L-E-G-H-E-N-Y. Spurge is S-P-U-R-G-E. This is a noun from circa 1936, a low herb or sun shrub of the box family, widely grown as a ground cover. The sun shrub or herb scientific name is Pachysandra procumbens, and this is from the Allegheny Mountains in the USA. Next we have allegiance. This is a noun from the 14th century. 1a. The obligation of a feudal vassal to his liege lord. 1b. 1. The fidelity owed by a subject or citizen to a sovereign or government. 1b. 2. The obligation of an alien to the government under which the alien resides. 2. Devotion or loyalty to a person, group, or cause. Synonym says see fidelity. And allegiant is an adjective. Next we have allegorical. This is an adjective from 1528. 1. Of relating to or having the characteristics of allegory. 2. Having hidden spiritual meaning that transcends the literal sense of a sacred text. Allegorically is an adverb, and allegoricalness is a noun. Next is allegorize with an S at the end. This is the British version of allegorize with a Z, which we will read momentarily. Next is allegorist. This is a noun from 1684, a creator of allegory. And now we have the American spelling of allegorize. This is a verb from 1579. Intransitive definitions are 1. To give allegorical explanations. 2. To compose or use allegory. Transitive definitions, usually they're the other way around. I wonder why they're doing the intransitive first. Maybe they're more common, and maybe that's why they put it first? I'm not sure. But here we go with the transitive. 1. To treat or explain as an allegory. 2. To make into allegory. Allegorization is a noun, and allegorizer is a noun, and I know I'm pronouncing those very weirdly, and that's just because I'm emphasizing so you hear what they are. And next we have allegory. This is a noun from the 14th century. 1. The expression by means of symbolic fictional figures and actions of truths or generalizations about human existence. Also, an instance, as in a story or painting of such expression. 2. A symbolic representation. And we have the synonym emblem, too. The etymology says this is from the Greek allegorein, which means to speak figuratively. Also from agorein, which means to speak publicly, and agora, which means assembly, and there's more at else and agora. Next we have allegretto, A-L-L-E-G-R-E-T-T-O. This is the first form. This is an adverb or adjective from circa 1740. Faster than andante, but not so fast as allegro, used as a direction in music. This is, of course, Italian, and it is a diminutive. I assume that's what dim means, of allegro, allegretto. Second form of allegretto is a noun from circa 1846, a musical composition or movement in allegretto tempo. And now we have the full version of the word, which is actually a shorter word, allegro. This is the first form. This is a noun from 1683, a musical composition or movement in allegro tempo. Now I assume they're going to talk about the allegro tempo in the next form. It is an adverb or adjective from circa 1721, at a brisk, lively tempo, used as a direction in music. And again, this is Italian, and it means merry, M-E-R-R-Y. It is from allecrus, which means lively. Next is allele, A-L-L-E-L-E. This is a noun from 1928. 1. Any of the alternative forms of a gene that may occur at a given locus, L-O-C-U-S. 2. Either of a pair of alternative Mendelian characters as smooth and wrinkled seed in the pea. Allelic is an adjective, and allelism is a noun. It looks like this is German, short for allelomorph. Next is allelo, prefix 1, alternative, as in allelomorph, what we just read. 2, reciprocal, as in allelopathy or allelopathy, but I think it's more accurately the first one. The etymology says this is Greek allelon, which means of each other. Next and last word for this episode is allelomorph. We're seeing that word a lot here. This is a noun from 1902. It just has the synonym allele, what we read 2 words ago. Allelomorphic is an adjective, and allelomorphism is a noun. And it looks like that will end this episode. Thank you very much for listening. And until next time, this is Spencer reading the dictionary. Goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of the dictionary. Just wanted to quick let you know, I just ordered and received a brand new podcast microphone. I guess it's considered to be one of the better ones for an entry-level podcaster, which is obviously what I am. But I haven't had time to set it up yet. I just received it yesterday. So hopefully the next time I record, I will be using the new microphone and it will sound better. First word for this episode is one of the examples that we were given at the end of the last episode. And let's see if I can pronounce it correctly this time. Allelopathy. I think that's correct. A-L-L-E-L-O-P-A-T-H-Y. This is a noun from 1948. The suppression of growth of one plant species by another due to the release of toxic substances. Allelopathic is an adjective. Next we have alleluia, similar to hallelujah, but this one starts with an A. And then the rest of the letters are L-L-E-L-U-I-A. This is an interjection from the 14th century, and it just has the synonym hallelujah. The etymology says this is from Greek alleluia, spelled slightly differently, and it is from the Hebrew alleluia, spelled H-A-L-A-L-U-Y-A-H, and there are some accents, and that means praise ye Jehovah. Next we have allemande, A-L-L-E-M-A-N-D-E. This is a noun from 1685. 1. A musical composition or movement, as in a Baroque suite, in moderate tempo and duple or quadruple time. 2a. A 17th and 18th century court dance developed in France from a German folk dance. 2b. A dance step with arms interlaced. Next we have all-embracing, 2 words with a hyphen. This is an adjective from circa 1649. We just have these synonyms complete and sweeping, as in an all-embracing theory. Next is Allen wrench, capital A-L-L-E-N, second word wrench. This is a noun from 1943, an L-shaped hexagonal metal bar, either end of which fits the socket of a screw or bolt. The etymology says this is from the Allen Manufacturing Company in Hartford, Connecticut. So now I know a little bit more of where that came from. Is it somebody's first name? Is it somebody's last name? Probably a last name. Maybe I'll look it up. Next we have allergen, Allergen. This is a noun from 1910, a substance as pollen that induces allergy. Allergenic is an adjective, and allergenicity is a noun. I actually get allergies from pollen fairly often, and it can be a pain. But I do take a little allergy pill pretty much every morning that seems to help a lot. I don't know if it's doing something bad to my body, but I am not getting nearly as many allergy issues as I used to. Next is allergic. This is an adjective from 1911. 1. Of, relating to, affected with, or caused by allergy. 2. Having an aversion, as in allergic to work. I don't know if I'm officially allergic to anything other than maybe the pollen, but I have had a reaction twice to drinks that I've had. My lungs sort of get tight and I cough. Nothing major. I don't know what the actual ingredient is that's causing it, but if it ever happens again, I'm keeping a track of ingredients. I know it sounds kind of odd, but I really don't like the feeling, so I want to know what to avoid. Next, we have allergic rhinitis. Rhinitis is spelled Rhinitis. This is a noun from 1924. Rhinitis caused by exposure to an allergen, especially the synonym hay fever. Next, we have allergist. This is a noun from 1928, a specialist in allergy. Next is allergy. What the thing is that we've been talking about. This is a noun from 1910. 1. Altered bodily reactivity as hypersensitivity to an antigen in response to a first exposure, as in a bee venom allergy, so severe that a second sting may be fatal. 2. Exaggerated or pathological immunological reaction, as by sneezing, difficult breathing, itching, or skin rashes, to substances, situations, or physical states that are without comparable effect on the average individual. 3. Medical practice concerned with allergies. 4. A feeling of antipathy or aversion. Etymology says this is from the German allergy with an IE. That is from combining all, ALL, plus the Greek ergon, ERGON, which means work. And there's more at the word work. Why work is related to this, I don't know, other than having an allergy to work. But that maybe, is that the original place that allergy was used? Saying, I've got an allergy to work, I don't want to work. Weird. I might have to look more in depth to that. Next, we have alethrin. I put a little extra emphasis on that R. Alethrin. Allethrin. This is a noun from 1950. A light, yellow, viscous, oily, synthetic pyrethroid insecticide, C19H26O3, used especially in household aerosols. Next is alleviate, and this will be the last word for this episode. Alleviate. This is a transitive verb from the 15th century. We have the synonyms relieve, lessen, as A, to make as suffering more bearable, as in her sympathy alleviated his distress. B, to partially remove or correct, as in measures taken to alleviate a labor shortage. And again, synonym is relieve. Not sure why they've got it twice. Alleviation is a noun, and alleviator is also a noun. The etymology says this is from Latin levis, which means light, and there's more at the word light. And as I mentioned, that was the last word. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, this is Spencer reading the dictionary. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word Nerds, what is up with your faces today? I am Spencer, your host for this podcast of The Dictionary. I've been really speeding through these last 3 episodes because, as I mentioned 3 episodes ago, I have a meeting to get to, but because I went through them so quickly, I've got plenty of time, so let's take it a little slower, man. Let's see, what's going on with me? I am leaving town tomorrow for work for about a day and a half. I'll be going to D.C., although by the time you hear this, which I think is June 15th, I will have already done that trip and come back. But I will say that if today is June 15th, tomorrow is Father's Day here in America. So if you haven't done anything, I suggest you go get a card, get some food, some alcohol, some sweets, some tools, something that your dad will like. And we've already done that for my dad, so that I can check off the list. All right, let's get to the words. First word for this episode is alley. And if you remember, I think a couple episodes ago, we found out where the word alley came from. It's French. And it probably says that again here. All right, alley. This is a noun from the 14th century. 1. A garden or park walk bordered by trees or bushes. 2. A grassed enclosure for bowling or skittles. What? First of all, I want to go bowling outside on grass or something. I'm sure that's very old school bowling. Also, what's Skittles? I want to play a game called Skittles. I'm going to have to look this up. 2. A hardwood lane for bowling. Also, a room or building housing a group of such lanes. And of course, yes, bowling alleys are called alleys. I didn't even think about that one until now. 2B. The space on each side of a tennis doubles court between the sideline and the service sideline. 2C. An area in a baseball outfield between 2 outfielders when they are in normal positions. 3. A narrow street, especially a thoroughfare through the middle of a block, giving access to the rear of lots or buildings. We have a couple phrases. First one, I guess they're kind of the same thing. Up one's alley, also down one's alley. Do they mean the same thing? But one is up and one is down. They shouldn't be able to mean the same thing. Suited to one's own tastes or abilities. And yeah, it looks like up one's alley and down one's alley mean the same thing, which is very interesting. All right, second form of alley. This is a noun from 1720. A playing marble, especially one of superior quality. The etymology says this is from shortening and alternating the word alabaster. Were playing marbles made of alabaster back in the day? I'm not sure. I never played, what do we call it here, marbles? I never played that. I think I just grew up a little bit too late to have that be a thing in the 80s. But I'm very much aware that the game existed and sort of generally how it's played. And that people would have marbles that were great. And so I guess they called them alleys or an alley. Next, we have alley cat. This is 2 words. It's a noun from 1904. A stray cat. That's all it means. Next is alley-oop. Alley-oop. O-O-P. This is a noun from 1967. A basketball play in which a leaping player catches a pass above the basket and immediately dunks the ball. Also, the usually looping pass throw on such a play. The etymology says this is an alternative of alley-oop, A-L-L-E-Z, which is a cry of a circus acrobat about to leap. And it looks like those 2 words are from, aller is French, and it's from aller, which means to go, and the oop is perhaps an alternative of up. So go up, basically. I think it was the cry of the, maybe one of the performers, one of the people. Acrobats, we would call them in this situation. I think basketball players, when they do alley-oops, they should actually scream out, alley-oop, in a very French accent. That would be awesome. Next, we have alleyway, all one word. This is a noun from 1788. 1. A narrow passageway. 2. The synonym alley. 3. So if you want to know what that is, just rewind back a minute or two or so. Next, we have all fired. 2 words with a hyphen. This is an adverb from 1837. We have the synonyms extremely and excessively, as in all fired stubborn. The etymology says this is an alternative of hell fired, and it means damned, D-A-M-N-E-D. Next, we have All Fool's Day. This is a noun from 1712, and it just has the synonym April Fool's Day, which we will be getting to many episodes from now. Next is all fours, 2 words. Of course, the first thing I think of is my teacher in elementary school making sure we've got 4 on the floor on our chair, all 4s down, because if we lean back in our chair, we might fall. I feel like I probably did fall at some point, but I have no specific memory of that because I probably blocked it. This is a noun from the 15th century. 1a, all 4 legs of a quadruped. 1b, the 2 legs and 2 arms of a person when used to support the body, as in down on all 4s. 2. Any of various card games in which points are scored for the high trump, low trump, jack of trumps, and game. Next is all get out. Get out has a hyphen. This is a noun from 1879. The utmost conceivable degree, used in comparisons to suggest something superlative, as in is busy as all get out. Next is all hail. 2 words. Hail is H-A-I-L. This is an interjection from the 14th century, used to express greeting, welcome, or acclamation. Next is all hallows. This is 1 word with a capital H. Nope. With a capital A. This is a noun from the 15th century. Synonym is All Saints' Day, and it is short for All Hallows' Day. 3 separate words. Next is all hours. 2 words. This is a noun from 1816. A very late time, as in stayed up until all hours. Next is alliaceous. A-L-L-I-A-C-E-O-U-S. This is an adjective from 1792, resembling garlic or onion, especially in smell or taste. This is from the Latin allium, A-L-L-I-U-M, which means garlic. Alliaceous. I had no idea. I'll probably start hearing that word with things that resemble garlic or onion. My wife and I put a lot of garlic powder in things when we cook, so I'm going to have to throw this word out there. Next, we have alliance. This is a noun from the 14th century. A-L-L-I-A-N-C-E. Has nothing to do with lions, those big cats. 1a, the state of being allied, the action of allying. 1b, a bond or connection between families, states, parties, or individuals, as in a closer alliance between government and industry. 2, an association to further the common interests of the members, specifically a confederation of nations by treaty. 3, union by relationship in qualities. Synonym is affinity. And 4, a treaty of alliance. Next we have Allison. No, this is not the name. This is spelled A-L-L-I-C-I-N, although I guess you could spell the name Allison that way if you wanted to. This is a noun from 1944. A pungent compound, C6H10OS2, formed enzymatically in crushed garlic cloves that imparts the distinctive smell to garlic and possesses antimicrobial properties. The etymology is from New Latin allium, which is the genus name of garlic. Next is allied, A-L-L-I-E-D. This is an adjective from the 14th century. 1, having or being in close association. synonym is connected, as in two families allied by marriage. 2. Joined in alliance by compact or treaty, specifically capitalized, of or relating to the nations united against Germany and its allies in World War I, or those united against the Axis powers in World War II. 3a. Related especially by common properties or qualities, as in heraldry and allied subjects. 3b. Related genetically. Allies is next, A-L-L-I-E-S. This is the plural of ally, A-L-L-Y. Next and last word for this episode is alligator, A-L-L-I-G-A-T-O-R. We're away from allies and garlic and things. This is a noun from 1579, although I am pretty sure alligators have existed before that, maybe 1478, not sure. 1a, either of two crocodilians having broad heads not tapering to the snout and a special pocket in the upper jaw for reception of the enlarged lower fourth tooth. The scientific names for the two crocodilians are alligator mississippiensis, and that's in the southeastern U.S., and in China it is alligator sinensis, S-I-N-E-N-S-I-S. 1b, we just have the synonym crocodilian. 2, leather made from alligator hide, something that I am definitely not a fan of. So I will have to try and use this physical description of an alligator because I admit I do get alligators and crocodiles confused all the times. I know it's probably not that very hard, but I guess I never really cared enough to get it into my brain. The etymology says this is Spanish from el lagarto, which means the lizard. And there's more at the word lizard. I am curious to know, though, so we've got crocodilian here, so alligators are crocodiles? Is it one of those situations, like you can say a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle isn't necessarily a square? So when we get to the word crocodile, I'm curious to see what it has to say. Alligators are really cool, crocodiles are really cool. They've been around for millions and millions of years. One of the few creatures on Earth that has actually stuck around and not evolved all that much, I don't think. They live with the dinosaurs. I think they were a lot bigger, so that would be a kind of a big change, actually. But they're basically living dinosaurs, and they're pretty amazing. All right, it's a good place to end. And until next time, this is Spencer reading the dictionary. See you later, alligator. You know I had to do that. All right, goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another sort of pseudo episode of the dictionary. I won't be actually talking about any words in this one, but I do have a couple of things to say. First, you may notice that I sound a little bit different today. That is because I am using my brand new, relatively cheap podcasting mic. Unfortunately, I do not have a great recording situation, although I do have access to an audio booth, which is beautiful, but I have to hold this microphone on its little stand with my hand, so apologies if there's any extra noises because of that. But I did get the little screen piece, which will get rid of my plosives, mostly, which I learned or relearned what those words are. You know, when you a p sound or a s, it helps to get rid of some of those. So yeah, things sound different, and going forward, I will try to get a better recording setup. The other sort of bigger thing I want to talk about is just this podcast in general, and sort of my interest in it. Originally, this kind of started off as a joke. In my life, you always hear people joke about, reading the dictionary. Of course, I can't think of any good examples, so I sound pretty stupid right now. But I'm sure you can think of something. Reading the dictionary is kind of the butt of the joke of doing something that's really asinine and stupid and would take forever and etc. So I just thought, what if I actually did that? So I'm doing that. But as I started going on with the podcast and actually reading the dictionary, I realized that it was pretty interesting to me, educational, maybe educational for other people as well. And so when I talk about it or when I list it in areas, it's education/comedy. Not that I think of myself as very funny, but I think the idea of it is kind of funny. But a couple of days ago, I was editing an episode, I think it was 126, and there was a word, specifically the etymology for the word popped up, and it got me thinking. If you look at the details for the episode, I actually did mention this a bit, but I do want to go into a little bit more depth. Basically, it was the word allergy, trying to figure out where that word came from. After I dug a little bit deeper, I found that the Greek word ergon could mean a variety of different things, and there were multiple sources that I found that didn't match up real well. So I just got super interested in that, and I was trying to figure out what the actual definition of ergon is in Greek, just to get a better understanding of the word allergy. And I started to realize that this is why I like doing this. I've always found it pretty interesting when I find out the etymology of a word or where it came from or the meaning of it or, a phrase, like where do we get that phrase from? Not to the extent that I would go to big lengths to find it out or, even think about it that much afterwards. But I did just find the information really interesting. And it's fascinating to see the history of words and phrases and then kind of see how they've evolved over time, if they have evolved at all. And I think it gives a bigger meaning to language and where our words and our language come from and where we come from to a certain extent. And it seems like years ago, people knew so much more about words than we do now. I don't have any real solid evidence for that necessarily, but I feel like we've kind of lost that. I feel like as a culture, especially here in America, with emojis and texting, etc., and lack of education in many areas, I feel like we're losing the idea of words and language like we used to have. Obviously, we still have words and language. We talk all the time, but we just have a lesser understanding of that. And I feel like I am absolutely part of the problem. I don't claim to have a big vocabulary. That's part of the reason why I'm doing this. I've mentioned that in the past. And I think that there's a lot of people out there like me. I think there's a lot of people who know even less about words and language. But I hope that by reading the dictionary, both I and you, the listeners, will gain a better appreciation for the English language. I would love to do this in other languages, but I don't know any other languages, so that's why I'm doing English. And just a better appreciation for the idea of language and words in general. Maybe this little tangent that I went on doesn't really have a big meaning in general, but that's just something that I was thinking about, and I wanted to throw that out there for you. And for me, it was just kind of enjoying this even more than I used to. I hope that I do have a better understanding of language as I go on and by the end of this. And even if I remember only a tiny fraction of a percent of the words that I've read, I think it'll all be worth it. And I think opening up the conversation of new words, new vocabulary, language to more people, I think my job will have been done. And with that, I'm going to end this mini weird pseudo episode, which is not official in any way, and I'm going to go ahead and record some actual episodes. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of The Dictionary. If you heard my previous mini episode, you will know that I've got a new microphone, so things sound different. I'm holding it in my hand, though, so you will get some extra sounds, unfortunately, until I get a better recording situation. But before we get to the words, Today, I think, is June 16th, and here in America in the year 2019, it is Father's Day, so I hope that you are celebrating with your father, your grandfather, uncle, maybe you are a father, your father-in-law, your stepfather, etc., and, at the very least, just spend time with them, and if you can, do something special for them. And apologies to the mothers out there. I think that I probably missed calling out Mother's Day because at the time I hadn't planned out all of my episodes and dates and where they fall. So here is a belated shout out to all you mothers out there. Now we will get to the words. First word for this episode is alligator clip. Alligator. Next word, clip. This is a noun from circa 1941. A spring-loaded clip that has jaws resembling an alligator's and is used for making temporary electrical connections. Next, we have alligator pear, P-E-A-R. This is two words. This is a noun from 1763, and we have the synonym avocado. The etymology says, by folk etymology from the Spanish aguacate, and there's more at the word avocado. So they called it alligator pear, and I suspect that is because the outside the peel of an avocado is dark and almost scaly looking. It's hard, and so maybe they thought it looked like alligator skin, or scales, I guess. Next, we have alligator snapping turtle. Three separate words. This is a noun from 1882. A turtle of southeastern U.S. rivers that may reach nearly 150 pounds, which is 68 kilograms, in weight and 31 inches, or 79 centimeters in length, called also alligator snapper. The scientific name is something like Macroclemis teminki. I recently saw a picture of two snapping turtles next to each other. One was definitely on the larger side, and the other one was relatively small. I had no idea they could get to be that size. I mean, that's literally my weight. So I would be pretty frightened to see a snapping turtle that weighs the same amount as I do. And I've seen what they can do. I've seen videos. If you haven't, go look it up. They are vicious. They snap very hard. They have a sharp point in the front of their jaw, and they will mess some things up. That is for sure. All right, next word is all important. There is a hyphen between the two words. This is an adjective from 1787 of very great or greatest importance, as in an all-important question. Next is all in, also hyphenated. This is an adjective from 1890. One is chiefly British. We have the synonym all-inclusive. Two is also chiefly British, being almost without restrictions, as in all in wrestling. Next is all in again, but there's no hyphen. This is an adjective from 1903. We have the synonyms tired and exhausted, as in after a day of wood splitting, he was all in. I don't think I've ever heard that term before. Next, we have all-inclusive. This is hyphenated, and I think this was mentioned before, yes, at all in. This is an adjective from 1850, including everything, as in a broader and more nearly all-inclusive view. All-inclusiveness is a noun. I think that is a good term that we can use for the world, for society, for culture. We should be all-inclusive, and not enough people are, in my opinion. Next, we have illiterate, but it's actually pronounced alliterate, but it starts with an A. This is a verb from 1776. Intransitive definitions are 1. To form an alliteration. 2. To write or speak alliteratively. That is an interesting word. The transitive definition is to arrange or place so as to make alliteration, as in alliterate syllables in a sentence. Next is alliteration. This is a noun from circa 1624. The repetition of usually initial consonant sounds in two or more neighboring words or syllables, as wild and woolly, threatening throngs, called also head rhyme or initial rhyme. So normally when we think of words that rhyme, we think of the end of the words as rhyming, but in this case, it is the beginnings of the words that sound similar, like sound similar. Next we have alliterative. This is an adjective from 1764 of relating to or marked by alliteration. Alliteratively is an adverb. There's that word again. Next is allium. Allium. If I remember correctly, this is related to garlic. Let's see. This is a noun from 1597. Any of a large genus, allium, of bulbous herbs of the lily family, including the onion, garlic, chive, leek, and shallot. So there you go. It's related to more words than just garlic. Now I know. Next is all night. This is hyphenated. It is an adjective from 1886. 1. Lasting throughout the night, as in an all-night poker game. 2. Open throughout the night, as in an all-night diner. Next we have all-nighter, hyphenated. This is a noun from 1964, something that lasts all night, specifically an all-night study session. I don't think I really ever pulled all-nighters when I was in high school or college studying for tests or whatever. I was a fairly good student in terms of not procrastinating and getting things done sooner than later, but I definitely did have to study my butt off when it came time for midterms and finals and things. But yeah, no, I don't think I ever was up all night studying. I know a lot of people who were, though. Next is allo, A-L-L-O. This is a prefix, and it just says see all, A-L-L, which is a prefix, and we read that a little while ago. Next is allo antibody, all one word. This is a noun from 1964. An antibody produced following introduction of an alloantigen into the system of an individual of a species lacking that particular antigen. I'm not 100% sure on what I just read, but here we have alloantigen. This is a noun from 1964, an antigen present only in some individuals as of a particular blood group of a species and capable of inducing the production of an alloantibody by individuals which lack it. Yeah, what they said. Next is allocable, A-L-L-O-C-A-B-L-E. This is an adjective from 1916, capable of being allocated. Next we have allocate, and this will be the last word for this episode. This is a transitive verb from 1641, or rather circa 1641. 1. To apportion for a specific purpose or to a particular persons or things. Synonym is distribute, as in allocate tasks among human and automated components. 2. To set apart or earmark. Synonym is designate, as in allocate a section of the building for special research purposes. Allocatable is an adjective, allocation is a noun, and allocator is also a noun. The etymology says this is from the Latin allocare, which is from ad plus locare, which means to place. And that's from the word locus, L-O-C-U-S, which means place. And there's more at the word stall. And that will end this episode. Thank you very much for listening. And again, don't forget, it's Father's Day, so go celebrate, and I'm going to read the next episode. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. First word for today is allocution. A-L-L-O-C-U-T-I-O-N. This is a noun from 1615, a formal speech, especially an authoritative or oratory address. The etymology says this is Latin allocutio or alloqui, which means to speak to, and that is from ad plus loqui, which means to speak. Next is all of, two separate words. This is an adverb from 1829. We have the synonym fully, Fully, as in, she's all of 20 years old. Next is allogamous, Allogamous. This is an adjective from circa 1890, reproducing by cross-fertilization. Allogamy is a noun. Next we have allogenic, Allogenic. Could also be allogenic, which is what I thought the word was in the first place. This is an adjective from 1961 involving derived from or being individuals of the same species that are sufficiently unlike genetically to interact anti-genetically, as in allogenic skin grafts. And it says compared to the word syngenic, which I assume is the opposite. Next we have allograft, Allograft. This is a noun from 1961, a homograft between allogenic individuals. Allograft can also be a verb. Now we have allograph, Graph, not Graft. This is a noun from 1951. 1. A letter of an alphabet in a particular shape, as capital A or lowercase a. 2. A letter or combination of letters that is one of several ways of representing one phoneme, as PP in hopping, representing the phoneme P. Allographic is an adjective. So I guess what it's saying is basically the shape of a letter is called an allograph. Learn something new every day, especially when you read the dictionary. Next, we have alimentary, Allometry. This is a noun from 1936. Relative growth of a part in relation to an entire organism or to a standard. Also, the measure and study of such growth. Allometric is an adjective. Next, we have allomorph, Allomorph. This is a noun from 1945, one of a set of forms that a morpheme may take in different contexts, as in the S of cats, the EN of oxen, and the zero suffix of sheep are allomorphs of the English plural morpheme. So I think what this is saying is that there's a thing called the plural morpheme, which is the thing that exists to make a word plural. So the S in cats, the EN in oxen, and nothing to the word sheep. And so those are called allomorphs. Allomorphic is an adjective, and allomorphism is a noun. I think I would have to learn what other morphemes are to find out what allomorphs are, but I have a little bit more of a knowledge of that now, which I probably won't remember. Next we have allonge. I think that's how it's pronounced, Allonge. The pronunciation guide is one of the stranger ones I've seen. It's got an A dash apostrophe L-O with the line over it to say that it's a long O. Then there's an N, it's a superscript N, so it's small and it's up top, and then a ZH. Don't worry, I won't keep on describing the pronunciation guides. This is a noun from circa 1859. We just have the synonym rider to A, and rider is spelled R-I-D-E-R. The etymology says this is French, and it literally means lengthening. So if I were to say this with a French accent, I would say it horribly, but it would be something sort of like allonge. But somebody who knows French would say it much better than me. Next is allopathic, Allopathic. This is an adjective from 1830, relating to or being a system of medicine that aims to combat disease by using remedies as drugs or surgery which produce effects that are different from or incompatible with those of the disease being treated. Next is allopatric, allopatric. This is an adjective from 1942, occurring in different geographical areas or in isolation, as in allopatric speciation. It says compared to the word sympatric. And that is not the first time we've seen that the opposite of one of these allo words has an sy at the beginning. Allopatrically is an adverb, and allopatry is a noun. The etymology says this is made combining all plus the Greek patra, which means fatherland, and that is from pater, which means father, and there's more at the word father. Next is allophane. The end of it is phane. This is a noun from circa 1821, an amorphous translucent mineral of various colors, often occurring in incrustations or stalactite forms and consisting of a hydrous aluminum silicate. The etymology says this is from the Greek allophanes, which means appearing otherwise, and that is from all plus phainesti, phainestthai, which means to appear, and that is the middle voice of phainein, which means to show, and there's more at the word fancy. Next we have allophone, phone. This is a noun from 1938, one or two or more variants of the same phoneme, as in the aspirated P of pin and the unaspirated P of spin are allophones of the same phoneme, P. I'm not 100% sure on what they mean by aspirated and unaspirated, but I might have to look that up. But here we've got another allo word that is related to letters and sounds and such. Allophone and allomorph. Allophonic is an adjective. Next is allopolyploid, allopolyploid. This is a noun from 1928. It's a great word. A polyploid individual or strain having a chromosome set composed of two or more chromosome sets derived more or less complete from different species. Allopolyploid is also an adjective, and allopolyploidy is a noun. Whoa, allopolyploidy. Try and say that 10 times fast. Next is allopurinol, allopurinol. This is a noun from 1964, a drug, C5H4N4O, used to promote excretion of uric acid. Next, we have the phrase all or none. It is hyphenated. This is an adjective from 1900, marked either by entire or complete operation or effect, or by none at all, as in all or none response of a nerve cell. Next and last for this episode is the phrase all or nothing. It is hyphenated. This is an adjective from 1765. One just has the synonym all or none, which is what we just read. 2a, accepting no less than everything, as in, he's an all or nothing perfectionist. I kind of used to be that type of perfectionist, but I've chosen not to be in my old age. And 2b, risking everything, as in, an all or nothing combat strategy. That will be the end of this episode. Thank you very much for listening. Go ahead and share and rate and review and tweet me and Facebook me and Instagram. No, I don't have an Instagram. And call my Google Voice. And until next time, this is Spencer reading the entire dictionary. Thank you and goodbye. Hello, word nerds. Welcome to another episode of this dictionary. No, it's called The Dictionary. First word for this episode is allosaur, allosaur. This is a noun from circa 1934, any of a family of large theropod dinosaurs, usually having 3-clawed digits on each arm and leg, and living from the late Jurassic to the early Cretaceous period. And you can also look at the synonym Allosaurus. The scientific name for the family mentioned at the beginning is Allosauridae. And wouldn't you know what the next word is? Allosaurus. This is a noun from 1886. Any of a genus, Allosaurus, of very large carnivorous North American theropod dinosaurs of the late Jurassic period. So I think Allosaur is the larger group, and Allosaurus is a smaller subgroup of Allosaur. The etymology says this is from taking all, A-L-L, combining it with the Greek saurus, which means lizard. Next we have allosteric, A-L-L-O-S-T-E-R-I-C. This is an adjective from 1962 of relating to, undergoing, or being a change in the shape and activity of a protein as an enzyme that results from combination with another substance at a point other than the chemically active site. Allosterically is an adverb, and allosteri is a noun. I'm very curious to know if the other letters in the dictionary will have this many scientific words, because it feels like A has a bunch. Next we have allot, A-L-L-O-T. This is a verb from the 15th century. 1. To assign as a share or portion, as in allot 10 minutes for the speech. 2. To distribute by or as if by lot, as in allot seats to the press. Allotter is a noun. Next we have allotetraploid. This is a noun from 1930. We just have the synonym amphidiploid, A-M-P-H-I-D-I-P-L-O-I-D, and I don't think I need to spell the main word. I'm sure you can figure it out, right? Of course you can. Allotetraploidy is a noun. Next we have allotment. This is a noun from 1574. 1. The act of allotting. Synonym is apportionment. 2. Something that is allotted, especially, chiefly British, a plot of land let to an individual for cultivation. Next we have allotrope, A-L-L-O-T-R-O-P-E. This is a noun from 1876, a form showing allotropy, which is our next word, allotropy. This is a noun from 1850, the existence of a substance and especially an element in 2 or more different forms, as of crystals, usually in the same phase. Allotropic is an adjective. Next is, I think this is how it's pronounced, allatava, something like that. It is spelled, and I haven't seen this before, A-L-L'-O-T-T-A-V-A. And it looks like the all apostrophe and the rest of it are 2 separate words. This is an adverb or an adjective from circa 1823. We just have the synonym ottava, O-T-T-A-V-A. I'm very curious to know what that is, although I can tell you that in the etymology it says this is Italian and it means at the octave. So ottava is octave, and I guess the all means at. So in music, does that mean that you play it at the proper octave? Do you play it above or below an octave? I'm not sure. Next we have allotee, A-L-L-O-T-T-E-E. This is a noun from 1846, one to whom an allotment is made. Next we have allotype. This is a noun from 1960, an alloantigen that is part of a plasma protein as an antibody. Allotypic is an adjective, allotypically is an adverb, and allotypy is a noun. Next we have all out. This is hyphenated. It is an adjective from 1908. 1. made with maximum effort. Synonym is thoroughgoing, as in an all-out effort to win the contest. 2, we just have the synonym full-blown to. Next is all out without the hyphen, 2 separate words. This is an adverb from 1895. With full determination or enthusiasm, with maximum effort, used chiefly in the phrase go all out. Next we have all over. This is one word, and it is the first form. This is an adjective from 1796, covering the whole extent or surface, as in a sweater with an all-over pattern. Now we have the second form of all over. This is a noun from 1838. 1. An embroidered, printed, or lace fabric with a design covering most of the surface. 2. A pattern or design in which a single unit is repeated so as to cover an entire surface. Next we have all over, but it is 2 separate words, and again we have 2 forms of it. So the first form is an adverb from the 15th century. 1. Over the whole extent, as in decorated all over with a flower pattern. 2. We have the synonym everywhere, as in looked all over for the book. And my brain did a little weird thing before I got to the word book. In my slight peripheral vision, I thought it said body. So in my head it said looked all over for the body. 3. In every respect. Synonym is thoroughly, as in she is her mother all over. Second form of all over and last for this episode is a preposition from 1912. 1. In eagerly, affectionate, attentive, and aggressive pursuit of, as in the band's fans were all over them. 2. In or into a state marked by all-out criticism of, as in the press was all over the coach after the loss. That will end this amazing and incredible episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you did, and if you didn't, I don't understand how you're listening to this. Maybe you skipped ahead. That's cheating. Until next time, this is Spencer reading the dictionary. Thank you and goodbye.